Hello and welcome back to Mallory in the library. This will be our second to last story time together, and so I'm going to share a few more of my favorite books. And today we have a few really special stories, and we're going to start with My Day with Gong Gong. The words are by Sena Yi, and the illustrations are by Elaine Chen. You'll notice this has a really interesting sticker on the side. It is a Blue Spruce Award nominee, which means that a group of librarians across Ontario selected this book for kids all over the province to read and be able to vote on. And so kids just like you will get to read all 10 picture books that were picked and then vote. And so if you have any questions about the Blue Spruce Award, you can ask your adult or even your teacher or librarian at school will be able to help you. So it says, pardon me, it says, "For my family, you are my whole heart. To Mama and Wygong and everyone who cheers me on daily. Mom is dropping me off at my Gong Gong's house for the day. I wish you could stay with me," I say. "What will Gong Gong and I talk about? I don't know Chinese." "It will be okay, May," says Mom. "You will still have fun." "I don't know about that." Let's just see. Gong Gong is watching hockey on TV. Boring. Gong Gong must, I'll move you a little bit closer actually. There we go. Gong Gong must think so too because he's asleep. I change the channel to a cartoon. Gong Gong wakes up and smiles. He turns off the TV. "Hey, I wanted to keep watching." He gets up and puts on his old cap and his puffy vest. It's time for a walk. Gong Gong's neighbor waves at us. "Ni hao," says Gong Gong. His neighbor says something in Chinese. Gong Gong laughs and points at me. "Huh? What's so funny?" Down the street, vendors sell jewelry and toys, and a man plays Chinese violin. Inside a gift shop, the cashier waves at us. "Ni hao," he says. He chats with Gong Gong in Chinese. I look at the glass counter display. Jade earrings, cotton slippers, and small toy animals. The monkey is my favorite because it's my Chinese zodiac sign. My tummy grumbles. I pull on Gong Gong's sleeves. "Can we eat?" I ask. He pats my head and smiles. "But that's not what I asked for." Gong Gong takes us to a dim sum restaurant next. Maybe he understood me after all. "Ni hao," says Gong Gong. The cooks nod back as they wrap dumplings with their hands. Carts of food pass by me. Yummy pork buns, fried turnip cake, mango pudding. I'm so hungry. "Can we eat?" I ask Gong Gong again. But he only orders tea. Next is the supermarket. Gong Gong buys groceries, fish, tofu, and vegetables. Goy," says Gong Gong when the cashier hands him his bags. I help Gong Gong carry them. They're heavy. I hope we eat soon. Chinatown is always busy. Cars, streetcars, and bicycles zoom by. When it's time to cross the street, Gong Gong holds my hand. Everyone is in a rush. I pull on Gong Gong's hand, but he's a pretty slow walker, so I have to slow down too. I wish we'd hurry up. You might see something really special in the background right here that you recognize. The red streetcars from Toronto. So they must be in Chinatown, downtown here. Gong Gong's friends are playing cards and feeding pigeons in the park. I thought we were going home to eat. Gong Gong gives me some cards. His friends look at me and smile. Ducky, says one of his friends. They all laugh, but I'm not doing anything funny. I can't understand Gong Gong's friends. I don't know how to play this game, and we've been sitting here for so long. I throw down my cards. The pigeons keep poking at the crumbs near my feet. Go away, I yell. I stomp and run through them, and they all fly away. Ew! A pigeon pooped on my coat. Yeah! Gong Gong and his friends laugh when they see my poopy coat. I cover my face and cry. Gong Gong stops laughing. He walks over and reaches into his pocket. He takes out a tissue and helps me clean off the poop. He reaches into another pocket and gives me 2 small bags. It's the toy monkey from the gift shop. How did Gong Gong know that's the one I wanted? I open the other small bag. Pork buns from the dim sum restaurant. How did Gong Gong know these are my favorite? Thank you, Do-Jay, I say. Gong Gong smiles. We sit by the water fountain and eat the pork buns. Some pigeons try to eat our crumbs. Gong Gong stands up and waves his arms to scare them away from me. It's getting dark and cold. Gong Gong zips up my coat. Let's go, I say, and Gong Gong looks at me. I point to the street. Home, I say. Gong Gong nods. Home. Everyone is still in a rush. I hold Gong Gong's hand, and we take our time. You might recognize this too. I think that's on Spadina. Ni hao, May, says the cashier. Hey, that's me. Ni hao, I say. Do-Jay, I say. More buns. Yummy. I make my toy monkey do a funny dance. The cashier makes the other toys in the window dance too. Gong Gong gives me a coin and points. I drop the coin in the man's violin case. Do-Jay, he says. Mom is back to pick me up from Gong Gong's house. Did you have fun? I show her my toy monkey. Oh, so cute, Ducky. She laughs and says something to Gong Gong in Chinese. I don't know what she said, but Gong Gong laughs. So I do too. Bye-bye, May, says Gong Gong. Nagō-one. What does that mean? I ask Mom. It means I love you, says Mom. I give Gong Gong a big hug. Bye, Gong Gong, I say. Nagō-one. There's that story, and there's some pronunciation in the back too. I love this story because it's so fun to spend time outside and to be with our grandparents. Now we'll read Eyes That Kiss in the Corners. This is a book that's new to me. Just got it last week. It's by Joanna Ho and it's illustrated by Dong Ho. On the inside, it says, "For Isla, you are a revolution," and to my mama and sisters. Some people have eyes like sapphire lagoons, with lashes like lace trim on ball gowns, sweeping their cheeks as they twirl, big eyes and long lashes. Not me. I have eyes that kiss in the corners and glow like warm tea. My eyes are just like Mama's. Mama's eyes that kiss in the corners and glow like warm tea crinkle into crescent moons when she comes home from work. She scoops me in her arms, eyes sparkling like starlight, and tickles me until we laugh ourselves onto the floor. When Mama tucks me in at night, her eyes tell me I'm a miracle. In those moments when she's all mine, flecks of dancing gold tell me I'm hers too. My Mama is my sun and sky, and her eyes are just like Ama's. Ama's eyes that kiss in the corners and glow like warm tea don't work like they used to, but she sees all the way into my heart and can even read my mind. Her eyes are filled with so many stories, I can fall inside them and swim until time stops. I see Greenwin with the Monkey King sitting on a lotus, serene, baubles of lychee on trees, and mountains that reach for the sea. My Ama never ages, and her eyes are just like Maymay's. Maymay's eyes that kiss in the corners and glow like warm tea blink against the window until I come home from school. They disappear beneath her two-toothed smile when I walk in the door. She toddles after me, gazing up at me like I am her best present. I hope she looks at me like that forever, 'cause when she looks at me in that Maymay way, I feel like I can fly. Maymay's eyes that kiss in the corners and glow like warm tea are just like mine. My eyes crinkle into crescent moons and sparkle like the stars. Gold flecks dance and twirl while stories whirl in their oolong pools, carrying the tales of the past and hope for the future. My eyes find mountains that rise ahead and look up when others shut down. My lashes curve like the swords of warriors, and through them I see kingdoms in the clouds. My eyes that kiss in the corners and glow like warm tea are a revolution. They are Mama and Ama and Maymay. They are me, and they are beautiful. I love this story. Our next story also won an important prize It won the Canada Council for the Arts Governor General's Literary Award. It's called Tokyo Digs a Garden. It's by John Eric Lapano and Kelly Hatanaka. This one actually has its dedication in the back. So it says, for Stephanie, who dreamed of our garden, and for Maya and Amelia, who play in it. And the illustrator says, in memory of Mary and Frank. Tokyo lived with his mother, his father, his grandfather, and a cat named Kevin in a small house that stood among tall buildings. Tokyo's grandfather had lived in the small house since he was a boy. He loved to tell stories about how things used to be. And I think that this white house down here, that must be Tokyo's house. Then the house looked over hills and forests and meadows and streams. Deer grazed on the hills, foxes ran through the forests, birds sang in the meadows, and salmon leaped from the streams. But now all of that was gone. Tokyo's grandfather said the city had eaten it all up. Cities had to eat something, after all. One sunny spring afternoon, Tokyo and Kevin were playing on the doorstep when they heard the music of an ice cream truck. Kevin jumped quickly over the gate. Kevin loved ice cream, but when they got to the street, they saw that there was no ice cream truck at all. Just an old cart, pulled by an old bicycle, pedaled by an even older woman. The cart was not full of ice cream, it was full of dirt. Kevin was very disappointed. The old woman held out her hand. She was holding 3 seeds. Plant these seeds, said the old woman, and they will grow into whatever you wish. She dropped the seeds into Tokyo's hand and continued along the road. Tokyo shrugged, put the seeds into his pocket, and followed Kevin back into the house. At lunch, Tokyo put the seeds on the table. Grandfather looked at the seeds. Then he looked up at the small piece of sky peeking out between the tall buildings. Today is a good day for planting, he said. Tokyo gulped down his glass of water, pretending he was a city, drinking up a deep, cold lake. Tokyo went into his backyard where nothing was growing, not even a weed. He looked at the ground and wondered where to plant the seeds. A little bug crawled slowly across the bricks before disappearing into a crack. Tokyo had an idea. He lifted a brick, and underneath was cool, sandy soil. He made 3 holes with his finger, dropped 1 seed into each, and quietly made his wish. Then Tokyo covered the seeds with dirt. That night, Tokyo dreamed he was riding an old bicycle through the city. All of a sudden, he turned into a fox, and the buildings changed into tall, creaking pines. Kevin dreamed of ice cream. The next morning, Tokyo heard a bird singing. When he peeked out his window, he saw 3 small wildflowers sprouting up from the bricks in the middle of the yard. He ran to tell his grandfather, but when he got to the kitchen, Grandfather was already staring out the window in disbelief. "Nah," said Grandfather, shaking his head. "I've never seen anything grow that fast." And Tokyo's garden kept on growing. After breakfast, the bricks around the flowers were completely covered with soft, spongy moss. By dinner, 3 trees had grown, and the moss had become a meadow of wild flowers and shrubs. By the next morning, the garden had grown up and over the buildings, across the street, down the road, over the cars, and into the expressway. The day after that, huge trees towered over apartments. Their strong roots broke the pavement. Vines climbed skyscrapers. Water poured from the hydrants, flooding the streets and turning them into rivers. You can see here, the road got turned into a river. The day after that, the city was completely wild. Deer foraged in office lobbies. Rabbits burrowed under library carpets. Bison stampeded through traffic lights. Bears climbed telephone poles to search for honey where bees had made their hives. Tokyo, Grandfather, and Kevin lay on their backs in the yard, which was now in the middle of a deep, dark forest. "This garden is much too big," said Grandfather, shaking his head. "The cars can't drive because the streets are full of jumping salmon. Your mother had to take the old rowboat to work today, and there was a sloth in the elevator at your father's office, so we had to take the stairs. What are we going to do?" Tokyo thought for a moment. Kevin's tail twitched. A pack of monkeys swooped from branch to branch in the canopy above. "I think," said Tokyo, "that we will just have to get used to it." Grandfather watched a flock of cranes flying across the small piece of sky, peeking out between the trees. He remembered how, as a young boy, he would watch them flying overhead before the winter settled in. "I think maybe you are right," he said. Gardens have to grow somewhere, after all. We have a little bit more time. I have one more story that I hope is short enough that we can get through it, but we'll have to see. It's called The Magic Fan, and it's illustrated and written by Keith Baker. It says, "In a village by the sea, there lived a boy named Yoshi who loved to build. He built wagons and fences, houses and stairs, tables and walls, everything the people needed, and they were happy listening to the steady sound of Yoshi's tools. Then one day, Yoshi stopped working. 'What will he build for us next?' the people asked. And Yoshi could not answer. So you'll see this book has something really unique about the pages. That night, Yoshi sat by the sea and thought. For hours he listened to the waves and watched the moon. 'There is nothing more I can build for the people. I want to build things that I have never built before, things that reach beyond the village. But how can I do that?' Then Yoshi saw something floating toward him. 'What is this?' he asked as he pulled it from the water. 'A fan? In the sea?' Yoshi opened the fan, and this is what he saw. On the fan, a boat with a golden sail chased the moon. 'That's it! This fan must be magic! It has shown me the answer. I will build a boat that sails across the sea as fast as the moon sails across the sky.' Yoshi snapped the fan shut and tucked it secretly under his belt. Through the night and following day, Yoshi built the wooden hull of the boat he had seen upon the fan from the strongest cloth he cut and stitched a golden sail. That evening, That evening, the people watched Yoshi push his empty boat out to sea. "Your boat is gone," they cried. "Why did you push it away?" "To catch the moon," said Yoshi. "My boat will sail across the sea tonight." The people did not understand, for how could a boat ever catch the moon? They returned home to sleep, and all alone, Yoshi watched his boat and the moon slip over the horizon together. Then Yoshi looked up at the clouds drifting in to fill in the empty sky. "Those clouds must see over the whole world. What could I build to reach so high?" Yoshi opened the fan, and an answer appeared. "Yes, a kite this big will fly with the clouds and never come down." With long bamboo poles and great sheets of paper, Yoshi built the kite he had seen upon the fan. To finish it, he painted wide-open eyes across its enormous face. At once, the kite caught the wind while Yoshi held on with a line of thick rope. The people watched as it rose to the clouds. There, it seemed to be at home. I'll show you this picture too. When the strong winds began to blow the clouds away, Yoshi let the rope slip from his hands. "Your kite is gone," the people cried. "Why did you let it go?" "To look over this world," said Yoshi. "My kite is free like the clouds. Nothing will stop it now." The people shook their heads, for how could a kite look over the world? They returned home to work, leaving Yoshi all alone. As the wind carried his kite and the clouds away, a rainbow stretched across the sky. Yoshi stood and stared. What could I build to stretch across the sky like a rainbow? Yoshi opened the fan, and an answer appeared. "A bridge! It will arch from end to end over the village." For days, Yoshi worked without stopping. With each cut of the saw and beat of the hammer, Yoshi's bridge grew more like a rainbow. But when Yoshi finally finished and looked down on the village, he saw the shadows of the bridge pass slowly over every house and street. Far below, the people talked among themselves. "Yoshi's bridge blocks the sun," they said in anger. "First the boat, then the kite, and now the bridge. We do not need these things. Why has Yoshi built them?" There's just a few pages left. The people are right to be angry, thought Yoshi. My bridge darkens the village. Why did the fan show this to me? With tears in his eyes, Yoshi began to cut down his bridge. As he pushed and pulled his saw through the wood, he felt the bridge tremble. Yoshi stopped. Still the bridge trembled. Then it shook with a force that seemed to come from the bottom of the sea. "What shakes the bridge so?" he asked in fear. Quickly, he opened the fan. Oh my. Namazu, the earthquake fish. It was awake and angry. Far out and deep in the sea, Namazu twisted and thrashed wildly. A thundering, monstrous wave, a tsunami, rose out of the water and rushed towards the village. Yoshi's heart was pounding. He dropped the fan and ran down the bridge. "Tsunami, tsunami," shouted Yoshi, racing up and down the streets of the village. "I have seen Namazu. A tsunami will soon be here. Follow me." Yoshi led the frightened people to the top of his bridge. There they gripped the railing and held on tight to one another. The tsunami crashed through the village, splintering bamboo fences, crumbling tile stairways, and toppling stone walls. Soon every house was covered by churning waves and spray. Then, as quickly as it came, the tsunami rolled away. The people could only watch as all of their belongings tumbled out far to the sea. At last the sea was calm again. Our village is gone, the people said. What will we do now? No one had an answer. Yoshi searched for the fan, but it too was gone, carried away with the tsunami. Without the magic fan, how will I know what to do? He asked himself, looking down into the water below. There he saw only his reflection. Suddenly, Yoshi knew the answer, as if the magic fan were open in front of him. We can build wagons and fences, houses and stairs, tables and walls, everything we need. Together we will rebuild our village. It will be new and beautiful. Just like your bridge, the people said, it has saved us all. The shadow will come and go, but we need the bridge to stand and protect us in our new village too. And when the village is finished, thought Yoshi, there will be more new things to build. Things that reach beyond the village, like bells to talk with thunder, nets to catch the falling stars, and towers to watch for secrets in the sea. Yoshi could see clearly, everything clearly without the fan. The magic he had discovered was his own. And here's a picture of where the fan ended up. So I hope you liked our stories about being with grandparents and loving yourself and being kind to the earth and building and being creative. And we will see you next week. That week will be our last story time. So if you have any requests, leave a comment on Facebook or YouTube, and I will see what we can do to make sure that you get to hear a story that you love. So I hope that you have a great week. Stay safe and stay healthy, and we'll see you soon.